Okay, so I want to quickly do a part 2 of the episode 2 video chat that was done earlier today. Most of the recordings, I listened to it. The internet wasn't that good, so it wasn't properly recorded. So what I'll do here is I'll probably just pick up like 2 points that I mentioned earlier, especially in the part of the recording that wasn't clear. I'll just point it out here, and then probably send this particular record and then later edit the other one. Because a lot of things there were mentioned in that episode, in the earlier chat, and it will take longer time to start to point out those things again. Okay, so it's about PP2000 versus other diagnostic tools or scan tools. For those who don't know what PP2000 is, I think just quickly look it up online. It's simply just a diagnostic or scan tool made by or made for Peugeot vehicles. So I've talked about the history of Peugeot scan ports, scanners, up to the current one, which is the PP2000. And I also differentiated PP2000 from Lasia. So the main purpose of the main purpose. Well, it's not my. I mean, I have to change location to do this, so I can't help it if you can't hear me. So the main purpose of this particular this thing is for people to focus more on using PP2000 to diagnose their Peugeot vehicles than other generic scan tool, even if they are professional scan tool. As long as it's not PP2000, I would advise you to rely on information you get or scan reports pulled from those scan tools, simply because they can be misleading when it comes to Peugeot. Most of their error definitions that other generic or professional scan tools will show you most are not pointing at the true cause of the issues with the vehicle you are diagnosing when it comes to Peugeot. When you use PP2000 to diagnose or scan Peugeot vehicle, you'll see the difference between it and the other ones. When you use, let's assume you test PP2000 on other scan tools on Peugeot, you see the difference. Most times these other scan tools will tell you that maybe your cylinder 1 is misfiring. But when you plug in PP2000, it will tell you something else. It will tell you that the problem is your timing or something else. So I always recommend use PP2000 more. There are cases where maybe you could use generic scan tool. Maybe you want to do just a minor scanning, not a video. If I only use generic scan tool when I want to maybe erase error faults that I already know. I already know these faults are stored on the ECU, so I don't need to start booting up my laptop to take some time to scan. I just plug in these other scan tools and clear the fault. But when you actually want to do a proper scanning, I don't bother. I have 4 scanners, 2 professional scan tools and 2 generic. But out of all these, I use only PP2000. It's only once in a while I use the generic scanner to just clear fault, but I don't use them. I realize that they can actually be misleading when it comes to Peugeot. So the only time you could the others, even if it's professional scan tool, the only time you may be able to use it is when it shows you an error code. You can go online and on research on that code with Peugeot. I think I mentioned in the other video. Use that code. Mention, use it. If it says P0301, you type it on your search engine, error code P0301 Peugeot. You'll be surprised that when the result you may get, the definition of the fault, some Peugeot users were able to dictate as the cause of this particular error code would differ from what your generic scan tool showed you. So when it comes to diagnosing Peugeot cars with scan tools, the definition matters more than the error code. The error definition, in that case, the PP2000 will serve you better. Why am I saying all these things? Because people have wasted so much money buying parts that are not bad, because those generic scan tools are showing that these parts are the cause of the issues. And you keep changing them, the faults keep repeating. You keep changing because the fault, the scanner is showing you your plug is bad, your coil is bad. You keep changing your coil when nothing is wrong with your coil. But when you now plug in PP2000, it will actually end up giving you the same error code but different definition, pointing at something else that as soon as you focus and deal with that thing PP2000 shows you, in the definition of the error fault, the issue goes away. So I always recommend get a PP2000 instead of the generic scan tool. Or that it will matter how good the professional scan tools are. It doesn't matter how some might say, but they are more expensive, like other professional scans. They are more expensive than PP2000. It doesn't matter. This PP2000, we are specially designed for these Peugeot vehicle systems, most likely made by Peugeot. So you can't tell me that people that design this injection system, other electronic part of or the entire vehicle, electrical system on a vehicle, and then end up designing a diagnostic tool for their systems. You tell me the other person who doesn't understand the system of that vehicle, who do a scanner that will be able to detect or diagnose the car better than the manufacturer. So you can have your professional scan tool other than PP2000 or other generic scan tool. You can use it on other Peugeot, on other brands, or once in a while, but don't rely on that information. It will mislead you. You waste so much money beating about the bush. PP2000 will narrow it down. It may not give you answer all the time, the answer you want immediately. Sometimes you just point at what might be the issue. It's not up to you to manually now, focus on that area that I pointed out and then rule things out until you get to the fault. So that's the purpose of the earlier video I did. So now when it comes to getting a PP2000, you have to be mindful. What vehicle do you have? What Peugeot model do you have? Don't just go and buy because it says PP2000. You may buy it and it won't work on yours. Not necessarily that the PP2000 is bad, but it's not. It won't match. It won't communicate with your car because the versions of the software differ. So the software will determine which vehicle it will work on. There are some versions that may work on 406 that can communicate on 406, but it won't communicate on 508. There are some that will communicate on 508, but won't communicate on 406. Especially depending on the operating system you install the software on. So there are some Peugeot models that when you are buying, you need to look for a seller that has a particular hardware included on the PP2000. For example, the Peugeot cars that have OBD1 scan ports, you need a seller that includes adapter for the OBD1. Otherwise, if you buy the one that has the OBD2, the universal one, you won't be able to diagnose your car with PP2. So those are the things. There are so many versions, software version of PP2000. I'll call them updates. but it's still regarded as version. Out of them, I have like 3 versions. We have version 5, version 6, version 9 is 9. And then we also have version 22. So there's so many of them. Not all of them will communicate with all Peugeot models. Some, when you boot the system and the application, you find that your vehicle might not even be listed there. If it's not listed there, it's as good as nothing. You can as well look for another one. So my point is, if you take your car to, let's assume you take it to someone to scan with PP2000, and the person couldn't scan your vehicle, his own PP2000 couldn't communicate with your car. It's possible that the version of his software, that's the PP2000, or his own hardware, is a lower model or a higher model, so it can't communicate with that. So if you look for another PP2000, it might work with yours. In my case, I have like 2 interfaces that I use depending on the vehicle I want to diagnose. So that's the thing. So buying PP2000 is not a straightforward thing. You need to first know what model of Peugeot do you have, and probably what model of Peugeot do you intend to buy in future. So that will help you to know which model can serve the current one you have, and probably the next one that you may end up buying, so that you won't have to start buying another PP2000 when you get the next Peugeot vehicle. So but when it comes to diagnosis, start with PP2000 unless it's a mechanical issue. There are some issues that PP2000 will not be able to help you do, but at least it will rule some things out. So if you are suspecting maybe it's a particular sensor, when you plug it in, you see the sensor is okay. So you now rule it out, you won't bother to go there. I think basically that is it. I don't think I have any other thing. But I mentioned, there are a lot of things I said in the earlier video, but I just have to stop this one here. So because this one is just more like part 2 of the earlier chat. I don't know if anyone has any questions, so that I can just respond and then carry on. I think there's one chat here.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. Hello? That's what I'm hearing you clearly. Yeah, I can, yes.
What is I can't really.
I'm not sure. I'm not hearing you, to be honest. Probably you can type your question on the group page. If I see it, I'll respond to it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I want to read this feedback someone posted on the chat group regarding the chat we did a few days ago. He said, good afternoon, just to let us know that our last episode has really helped my Peugeot 406 EW10J for 2002 charging system. Since I bought the vehicle 7 years ago, I have never changed the alternator. Lately, I've been experiencing issues like half starting, I believe you mean hard starting, and AC not chilling immediately. My headlamps goes down whenever I retard the acceleration. After listening to the lecture on alternator, I visited my battery seller who helped with the digital multimeter to test my charging system. Trust me, it was reading 13.26 while the engine is running and 12.58 with all other gadgets are switched on. I saw CL9, which means 90 amps, on the failed alternator. And I installed back to Kumbo, which is CL12, meaning 120 amps. My mechanic was surprised after testing the car. Every system was working perfectly now. The charging capacity now at 140 plus, at 14 plus voltage. Kudos to our master, Mr. Ikenna. Yeah. See, I know people have been suffering this thing for over the years of being in this business, diagnosing and repairing people's cars. And most times, when people contact me to help them diagnose their cars remotely or offer advice on their car issues. So most of these issues are batteries, charging system related, not necessarily battery or diesel components that works with the engine or even other parts of the vehicle. Like I said, the modern cars are now electrically controlled. So a lot of demand is on the alternator. So if the alternator or the charging system is not up to par, there's no how this other electrical part of the car will work well. Even the mechanicals, they also rely on the electronic part of the vehicle to be able to do their work. I mean, the brake is basically mechanical, but then the mechanical part of the braking system is electronically controlled. We have ABS, we have electronic braking force system, we have so many systems when it comes to that works with the mechanical part of the brake system. You could see that you are talking about brake caliper, the brake pads, the brake disc, all those ones will respond to the electronic part of the entire braking system. So if your charging system is misbehaving, it's going to affect your brakes. Likewise, your ESP, likewise, your what's it called? There are so many things. Your steering, yeah, depending on the Peugeot model. For example, the ones with the electronic PAS pump, the power assisted steering pump. If your charging system starts to go down, your pump will start acting up. Your steering will start acting up. Sometimes you think it's other issues, that your pump is the problem or your steering rack is the problem, not knowing that is your alternator. So all these things, I know all these things. So that's why I decided to do this video. And most people will end up, at some point they will suspect the alternator, but they will go and buy the wrong alternator and the issue will continue. So the main lesson to learn from here is have a digital multimeter. It doesn't cost. I mean, there are some you can get about 1,000 naira, though I wouldn't buy such, but at least it's better than nothing. It's not that it won't last. If you want one that will last, you have to step up. I don't know how much. The last one I bought was about 4,000 naira. It's over how many years now? Maybe 4 or 5 years with me. So it depends on how much you are willing to invest on this. Something you mentioned here. So you found CL12 and put CL12 in 406 with EW10J4 is actually too high. I'm not sure. It may not harm your vehicle, but it's not for your vehicle. The CL12 is most times for like 407 with EW10J4. Yes, they use one CL12. Then 406 with V6 engine is a CL12. EW12J4 in 406. I can't remember the capacity, whether it's CL12 or CL90. So, well, it's okay. I don't know. Just be observant to be sure that it doesn't. What you do, what I would advise you to do is switch on everything, get a multimeter, put it there, leave it for, connect the multimeter on the battery while the engine is running, turn out the gadgets, have somebody, since it's EW10J4 anyway, for OCs, it uses manual throttle, but so you can do it yourself. You can accelerate the engine from the engine bay. So all you need is to go to the throttle body and turn the butterfly with your hand. So just watch the multimeter, see whether it will exceed 15 volts as you accelerate, so that you don't end up putting XX arm for the system. So just observe if it doesn't go exceed that 14 point something volts. I think maximum usually like 14.5. Or okay, at max 15 volts. Anything above 15 volts is a problem. So if it's not doing any harm, then leave it. And then like I say, just observe to be sure. So that is it. So it's a good tool to have, multimeter, and then next time, at least now when, even if you have to change your alternator in future, you know how to go about it. So I don't buy in lower capacity. Okay, he said, hold on, there's a new question here. So he said, thank you for the video chat. My 407 is having a thick black smoke from the exhaust pipe. What could be responsible for it? My understanding is your 407 has a EW12J4 engine. I think you told me that earlier. So black smoke means excessive fueling. As simple as that. It means excessive fueling. It means your car is burning too much fuel. Your car can consume excess fuel without burning, bringing out blast soot. But if we get to a point of blast soot, then this is a big problem. Now, 407, there's a secret people don't know, so I want to explain it to you. It's more like a trade secret that I'm leaking out now. 407, like majority of you know already, has two types or different injection systems on Peugeot 407. No, let me take it back. Peugeot 407 has two EW12J4 engine. There are two injection systems for EW12J4 engine in Peugeot 407. Unlike maybe 406 and some other Peugeot cars that has only one. So 407 has two different injection systems for one vehicle. So depending on the one you buy, the system might differ. If you buy the one that is for 3FY, so if you go to your VIN of your vehicle, if you have a 407 and has EW12J4, check your VIN. The seventh and the eighth character of that VIN, starting from the beginning. So when you start from VF3, 6 to count, the sixth, seventh, and eighth character will tell you which of the injection system is on that vehicle. If it's 3FY, it means your injection system is of the EW12 is different from that of 406. If it's 3FZ, it means it's the same injection system of that of 406. So now for the 3FY, it was newly introduced from 407 upward. So why 3FZ was introduced before 407 was even produced, which you find in 406. Now 3FZ has two catalytic converters. No, 3FY has two catalytic converters. That's the newly introduced one. So two catalytic converters. Now there's one that when it fails, the system might not detect it. It could, but you won't really know it was actually, that's what it's pointing at. If I'm telling you your oxygen sensor, your downstream oxygen sensor is bad, you keep changing it, the issue will remain. But one of the symptoms is we're bringing out blast smoke. What causes that is the first catalytic converter is inside the exhaust manifold. So that one is the closest to the engine. So there is the sensor doesn't really monitor it. The downstream oxygen sensor. It's only experience that will tell you once you see that fault. Okay, this is pointing at this this particular catalytic converter, not the main catalytic converter that is under the car. You might assume it's the oxygen sensor that is faulty. So once that one inside the exhaust manifold blocks or partially blocks, you'll be getting black smoke symptoms. It doesn't matter what you do, even if you want, remove the main catalyst under the car, change your engine, do everything. As long as that one remains on that catalyst blocked or partially blocked, you'll be having black smoke symptoms. So how do you find out? It has to be manually investigated. You have to remove it. You have to remove the exhaust manifold. That's the only way to find out, okay, is it coming from there or not? The other ways you could do, but it means you have to get, what's it called, spy camera, sort of, or inspection camera, yes. Get inspection camera, remove your upstream oxygen sensor, now pass the inspection camera via that hole of the upstream oxygen sensor to view the comb inside that exhaust manifold. It will pass through some. It won't go directly like that, but you see it. You can feel it without removing it to know if is it blocked or not. If you don't have that diagnostic tool, then you have to physically remove the exhaust manifold, then check. I'm not saying that is the only cause of black smoke on an EW12G4 in 407, but I know most users don't know about this. You may change everything you want to, but the issue remains. So other things that can cause black smoke, if you mess up your engine wiring harness, it will give you black smoke symptoms. As simple as that. If the fuel pressure is low, it will affect it will also give you black smoke symptom. Not that much. Most time it doesn't really give black, so it will, but you could also tell that something is wrong because there will be no power. In fact, before the car can move, you have to press the throttle pedal to the floor. If your pressure is low, even before it starts, it will start and the rest. So that one comes with its own symptom. All you need to do, put a fuel pressure gauge or fuel pressure tester to confirm if it's up to 50 psi with the ignition on or engine running. If it's not up to that, then the other things that can cause low fuel pressure other than fuel pump, like your fuel filter can block. That's not most people don't see. They end up wasting money changing fuel pump, not knowing it's a tiny component that costs peanuts. If your fuel filter blocks, it will reduce the flow of the pressure of fuel that goes to the engine bay. If there are also the fuel line, the fuel supply line, people drive anyhow, especially on an environment like Nigeria. They see a bad road, knowing that their car will not be able to pass this road very well. They will still put it there. So some of these bumps and stuff, if it's hitting under your car anyhow, remember that your fuel line is a pipe. It passes through under, and there's nothing blocking or covering it, depending on the model of car anyway. So if any stone or something hit your fuel supply line, it's going to pinch it. And when it pinches it, it will reduce the flow of fuel that goes to the engine. So you might be thinking the problem is your fuel pump, not knowing that it's your fuel metal supply line. Or in other words, call it fuel pipe or whatever, it's just fuel line anyway. For the EW12, it has only one fuel line, which is the supply line. So all these things can affect fuel pressure. So you have to diagnose. There are so many things. Black smoke chemicals start from scanning the car. That's from there. You do things out there. You now go for the one that you have to use other diagnostic tools to inspect, test, and until you get to the problem. So you need to start by checking what is your injection system, since it's EW12, 3FY or 3FZ. From there, you now know what to do. Okay, I think that is it. Do I have any other thing here? I think that's all. Okay, so that is it now. Unless anybody has another question you want to ask, I can move on. That reminds me, there was one person I saw not long ago. Let me see if I can still find it. It was posted on yes, okay. It was posted on Telegram group. It reads, is Peugeot 406 more rugged than Peugeot 307 with respect to the body frame, chassis, engine, transmission, and the electrical components? Videos have probably done up to 20 videos on 406 and 406 and 307, and maybe about 5 of them is to compare the two. And I've also done a lot of publications, just not just videos, that's articles and the rest on these two vehicles. So it's going to take me back. However, the 406 is more rugged than 307. That's how I would put it. In terms of, I didn't even mention suspension here, which is where you can be able to do compare the two when you are referring to ruggedness. Chassis is the same with body now, so I don't know what you mean by chassis. I don't understand what you mean by chassis. Engine, it depends on what you mean by engine. You mean which one is more tolerance to abuse? Or what? Because I don't know. Any of these Peugeot engine, whether in 406 and 307, if you abuse them, they'll mess you up. That's the thing. Other than that, they're all durable. So it all depends on your maintenance culture. So in terms of power, 406 has more power than the 307. I'm not saying all 406 engines are more powerful than engine in 307. However, if you are looking for one that has more power, you go for 406. In terms of fuel economy, you didn't state that. Generally, 406 and 307 consume the same amount of fuel. It's only when you start going towards the 2.2, 3.0 liter in 406, then you can say, yeah, the fuel consumption will be higher in 406, but the normal engine, that's the average engines in 307, 406, they consume basically the same, 1.6 in 307, 2.0, 1.8 in 406. The fuel consumption are not much different. I don't think they are, the job is very significant. The 1.6, if when you put it on test, is supposed to, based on my experience, the consumption will be a little bit lesser than that of 406 with 2.0 liter engine, that EW10 engine for EW7 engine for SU10 engine for 1.8 and 2.0. 307 with 2.0 liter engine. Honestly, sometimes it can be difficult to tell if it actually consume less than the same engine in 406. It appears as if the 406 one consume lesser with same engine with 307. So 406, and then the 307 weigh the same with 406. Basically the same weight. 406 is just is a normal saloon car, family size car. It's not that big, but the purpose is completely different from 307. 307 is an utility city vehicle. Even though it can still serve you the same purpose of long distance like 406. If you are the long distance type, and you want to know the car that can be able to withstand that kind of pressure, 406 will serve you better. 307 electrically, if you are referring to which one is more rugged that can tolerate harsh use, 406 will tolerate it more than the 307. 307 is, how will I put it? It's more complex, and it's not as forgiving. It's not as forgiving as that of the 406. So you mess it up to deal with you. 406 will give you some grace for a while before you start to deal with you. If you abuse the electric, 307 right there. So if you are going for 307, you have to be the type that don't abuse vehicles. Just simple as that. So it depends on what you want. Like I said, I've done videos and articles on this. Take your word. It depends on what you want in the car. The purchase cost, 406 will cost you more to purchase in Nigeria if you are looking for a clean one among the two. Belgium, Nigeria use 406 cost more. 207 a little bit cheaper. So 207 is also rugged in its way. If I were to choose, if you want to sell Peugeot vehicles that are very rugged, produced between 2000 to 2010, in terms of hatchback and saloon, of course, 406 is the first, followed by 307. So that's how I put. So 307 was scored second, while 406 was scored first. So no cap so far. Apart from the days of 505 and the 504, no other Peugeot car is as good as or rugged as these two cars I mentioned, if not 406. The next car that will be as rugged as 406 is 508. It is, in fact, not that that will be, it is already, but the only thing with the 508 WT5, the first generation, is the engine is not as rugged. I'll use that word, rugged. It's not as rugged as that of the one using 406. So every other part of the car will serve you as good as 406 to some extent, like this. The suspension, no, the suspension is very good in that WT508. In fact, from my observation, the ground clearance of 508 appears to be higher than that of the 406. So in terms of traveling on Nigerian road, it may even serve you better. The only 406 that has higher ground clearance is that of the one manufactured and assembled in Nigeria, but the foreign use is lower, so the 508 is higher than that. So for Nigerian use, Nigerian highways, the 508 may serve you better. Not saying the cost of the suspension parts is cheaper in 508, but it is in terms of durability is as good as that of the 406. So that is it. I don't think I've answered that your question. I don't know that question here. Can airflow meter also be the cause of black smoke in Peugeot 407 with EW12J4 engine? For a start, your 407 with EW12J4, in fact, not 407 with petrol engine has airflow meter. So I don't know, unless you are confusing it with that term. None of them. The last project that used airflow meter was, I think, is it 504? 505, I think 505 GTI or so. I think 505 GTI and the 505 Turbo. These are in the 80s. That's what they use from it. Ever since then, Peugeot have been using, they use a MAF sensor. They use MAP sensor. I think they started the MAP sensor, manifold absolute pressure sensor. I think they started using that one in the late 80s because my 605 V6 that was produced in 1989 had MAP sensor, MAP. So I think it was in the 80s that Peugeot stopped using AFM. That's airflow meter. That's what AFM means. Then my 505 V6, which was produced in 1986, has mass airflow sensor. That's the name, mass airflow. So, ever since then, it has already been MAP, manifold absolute pressure sensor. Then Peugeot has another name for it. Peugeot also calls it inlet air manifold pressure sensor, something like that. So it all depends. I have another question here. So what is the major cause of black smoke in 406? You have to be specific. 406 have different engines and different injection systems. You could see how I explained the one of EW12, what can cause black smoke in EW12. It doesn't apply to all 407. I was specific. When it comes to Peugeot, you have to be specific. Their systems differ. And the symptoms differ. No, symptoms might be the same, but the causes will differ. Because the injection systems are not the same. ECUs are not the same. They behave differently, depending on the signals they get from some of these components that ECUs work with. So we have to be specific. Which engine are we talking about? That will give me an idea what it is. And engine and depending, since it's a 406, which model of 406 is it? Foreign assemble, Nigerian assemble? There are two different things. What could cause black smoke in them are different. My observation in 407, that's why I didn't mention it in the one when I was talking about 407. From my observation, faulty upstream oxygen sensor does not produce black smoke in 407 with EW12 G4, EW10 G4, ES9A. Yes, they don't. Yeah, the fuel consumption will go up, but they will not give you that black smoke. So unless maybe you push the throttle to the floor or something like that when the temperature is still cold. But on normal circumstances, they don't produce black smoke. But on other Peugeot cars, they will, depending on the model. So I need to know which model. So I think I'm still waiting for this person to respond and give me the model of Peugeot car that produce the 406. It's asking for black smoke. If you can do it quickly so that I'll likely be going offline now because I need to be somewhere now. So if you can unmute and ask your question, if your internet is clear, you can ask so that I can respond, or you type in just quickly and post it on the group chat page. I see it and respond so that I can. Remember that this is the only place you can ask me questions and I will respond without requesting for for consultancy payments. Or probably in my YouTube channel, if I have the chance, go there and use. If you have any question, post it here. Ask, let me respond. If you contact privately, then we will have to pay for it. Okay, someone posted an audio. Let me see here. No question. Can you just type it? I'm not hearing anything. Hello? So it's asking, he said I'll take the picture of the airflow meter and send to you, so I may not get the name corrected. It don't, because it may take a while before, I don't know when next I'll do this shot during the week. Just ask your technician, what is it the one, if you're in Nigeria, ask him, is it the one they call injector, no, manifold sensor, or injector mouth sensor, or manifold sensor. Just find out if it's the same. That is the map sensor. That's what the one I mean. The map sensor, does it bring cause blast smoke? What I know it does. It's only like during the days of AFM, MAF that it can actually give you that kind of blast suit. But the current map sensor in Peugeot cars, what it does is it will increase the consumption and not necessarily blast smoke. And also it will mess up the engine, the proper running of the engine. There will be loss of power, hesitation sometimes, and the rest. But the idea of bringing us, it depends on the degree of the blast smoke you are referring to. If it's puffing out smoke constantly, whether at idle or under acceleration, then I don't think it's your map sensor. Now, when it comes to map sensor too, you have to also use the right one, because that's what most people do, mistakenly do in 407. Just look for any sensor that can fit in there and mount and call it a map sensor. Yeah, they are map sensor, but doesn't mean it's meant for the engine ECU on that vehicle. For example, EW10J4 in 407 uses map sensor of ES9A and ES9J4S, V6 engine in 406, 407, 607, and the rest. But in 406, the EW10J4 engine in 406 use a different sensor from that of the same engine in 407. They use the sensor of EW12J4 in 406 and in 407. Their ECUs, that's not everybody. ECUs differ, so the way they are programmed, they are not supposed to work with certain sensors and not the other. So if you take the one of the ES9A or V6 engine and put your EW12J4 in 407, the engine will not run very well. It doesn't matter how new the engine is or how good the electricals are. You need to put the proper sensor there. So you need to find out which one. The easiest way to identify the one of V6, I already use V6 and EW10J4 and 406 to differentiate the two. The easiest way to identify which one is which is the V6 map sensor has orange sticker. The sticker on it is orange color, and it ends with is it 50 or 07? No, I've forgotten the number. But I know the color is orange. While that of the EW12J4 in 406, which is also the same in EW12 and EW7 in 406, is blue color sticker. So if you have if you need to check your engine, which model, if your engine is having a different color from what I just explained, then you have a wrong sensor. Look for the right one. The blue color map sensor in 406, in fact, all 406 four-cylinder engine, apart from the S, all EW engine in 406 use the same map sensor. EW7J4, EW10, the EW12J4, they all use same EW710. There are two EW10, remember, then EW12J4. So they all use the same map sensor. The color of the sticker on it is blue. I used to know the part number. It's Bosch. About 3 figures are etched, and each of those are forgotten. Why that of the V6, ES9J4S, ES9A is orange, or call it pink, whichever one, or call it yellow, but at least once you see it, you know, okay, this is the one I'm referring to. Now there are some EW12, there are some 406 with EW10J4 that has a black color sticker on the map sensor, most especially the ones with what's it called? RFR. Those ones that funny use, some of them RFR, they don't have downstream oxygen sensor, so their map sensor usually comes as black sticker with different part number, so they are more like an exception. So when it comes to 407, the EW7J4, EW10J4, they use that blue sticker map sensor. No, EW7J4 and EW12J4 3FZ. Let me point it out because it can be confusing. EW7J4 engine, EW12J4 engine, the one of 3FZ injection system, use the same blue sticker. While the EW12J4 3FY uses the same map sensor of EW10A. The color of the sticker, I think it's same blue, but then there's a difference with the connection. The blue sticker one has 3 wires, while the one on the EW10A and the EW12J4 3FY has 4 wires. So what happened was the blue sticker map sensor is independent of IAT sensor, which is idle air temperature sensor. So, but on 3FY injection system, that EW12J4 in 407 and EW10A, the IAT sensor is now integrated inside the map sensor, so that makes it 4 wires. So that's why that could also help. For example, if you have a 307 with TU5JP4, you can check that sensor. The map sensor is attached on the intake manifold. You see it there. You see your own have about 4 wires because the IAT is inside the map sensor, unlike the orange sticker one and blue sticker one with 3 wires. I think that is it. I have to end this so I can taking almost how many almost close to 1 hour now. So if you have any other questions, let's leave it to another time. So I will respond. You can post when I have time. I'll go to it, note it. When I do another video chat, then I'll respond to it. The internet here, maybe I don't know if it's mine or other people. I can't hear anyone. And I hope this one will be able to record well so that when I share it, people can listen to it. Okay, so that is it.